I'm Max. I've got ASD, OCD, ADHD, that's a big list, epilepsy, and I work full-time in IT. I also do YouTube, so I've been on YouTube now for 10 years, I think it is now. Never made it, still trying. But I think I've done pretty much everything on YouTube. I've done a stunt show, I then went and done an acting thing, then I've done a soap opera and interview show, and I just loved it. But now I just speak purely on autism, so anything autism related, I try and do weekly videos every week, just because I think it's important. And since working on the campaign as well with the Autism Society, I think there's a lot of awareness, but not a lot of understanding. And it's something I kind of want to build on, because everyone kind of goes, "Oh, I know autism," and this is like, "Go on then." It's like, "Oh, you can't look people in the eye," and it's like, well, there's more to it. It's like some people think we're great at maths. I'm useless at maths. It's like I think I'm gonna be like Rain Man, and I'm like useless. So I also do acting, so I kind of pursued that later on. Sat at home one day and said, "Oh, I'd love to do that," and I thought, well, why not get off your bum and do it. Also an ambassador for the National Autism Society, and I try and do one thing for charity every year. So I think done this for 4 years now. So first year I've done a skydive for Make-A-Wish Foundation. Second year I've done an ASL for the National Autism Society. Third year I've done a 15k run for pancreatic cancer, and then fourth year I've done a zip line up in Wales for Roy Castle and the British Heart Foundation. So I don't know what I'm doing next year. I'm running out of ideas. So I was going to start a bit differently. That's on here. It's not.
Please, follow me.
Congrats on all the awards. So, tell me about yourself.
So, what would you say your strengths and weaknesses are?
Really? You don't look it.
Just so you know, the role has changed ever so slightly, but it's nothing major.
Let's find out a bit about you. So what experience do you have? What skills, what abilities? Anything?
It doesn't seem like you've had a job for a few months.
6 months?
A year. Why is that?
Okay. It's nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming in. We'll be in touch. Are you okay?
I'm not unemployable. I'm autistic, and sometimes I get too much information.
So that was the campaign that we've done for the National Autism Society. So I think it was viewed over 1 million times. It was shown in cinemas as well as like an advert. And the main reason we've done that is because at the moment there's only 16% of people with autism in full-time work. And that hasn't changed for 10 years. So even though the Autism Act came in 2009, it's still, I think when we went up to Parliament and had to discuss, about the Autism Act, there was a part of me that thought, well, has it got better? Because if that statistic's still there, then it suggests to me that maybe it hasn't. And the sad thing was as well is government don't even take account of that figure. They've only started to now as of November, but beforehand they had no acknowledgement of that number. And it was only the Autism Society that found that number out. So to think that I was kind of one of the 16 in full-time work really came to a surprise to me, because I felt, God, how lucky am I to do that, but at the same time how hard I've had to work to do it. And I sometimes think, with the support and everything else. Some people don't have the support, some people don't have the family unit around them, and some people are affected differently by autism. You know, someone, for instance, might not be able to sit here and speak, you know, as I do. So it just worries me as well what happens to those people who aren't in work. You know, such a big number not to be in work. And that's kind of what fueled me really to do the speaking and carry on campaigning, because I want more people in work. So facts about autism employment: there's only 16% in full-time work, only 32% are in some kind of paid work, full and part-time combined, and that's compared to 47% of disabled people and 8% non-disabled people. Only 77% who are employed say they want to work. 51% of adults with autism in the UK have spent time with neither a job nor access to benefits, so that's more than half the people who haven't got access to that. 10% of those haven't been in a position for a decade or more. Only 11% of carers who have children with autism work full time. So not only we're cutting the money for disability, but at the same time the people who have to look after their child who has the condition, then they have got no source of money coming in because they can't work. So I always say, there's a lot of reasons why not to hire someone with autism, as I always hear, but I thought I'd give reasons to hire someone with autism. So I think we solve problems differently, we think in a different way, I think we think outside the box. I think neurodiversity is always good for a business. What I know when I worked, they couldn't be prouder to have somebody with autism in the team. They didn't think of it as a bad thing, they took it on board and was like, wow, okay, well, we can support them, and at the same time we can learn things from him, to help people in the future. We're authentic, naturally have integrity, I'd like to say. I think when it comes to telling the truth, or if I've done something wrong, I'll probably be a lot quicker to throw my hands up in the air and go, oh, I've done that wrong, as a lot of people will rather blame others. I feel I just couldn't do it. I just generally feel my honesty and my being, I just would feel terrible. So our value outweighs the cost of effort of implementing any reasonable adjustments. I'd like to think if you supported somebody with autism in a company, that you would see a long-term actual benefit of having them, rather than, because a lot of people go, oh, it's going to cost us too much money, but in hindsight, they're probably the person who's going to secure you that big buy, or they're going to be the person who's going to fix that big issue. And a lot of employments don't think of it like that. Detailed factual knowledge and excellent memory. Again, this isn't for everybody, but for me, these are reasons. A lot of the people I've met, with autism have really good memory. And it's normally about things that they love, like me with wrestling, you could ask me anything about it, I'd be like, oh, back in 1962, and people are like, you're not even born then, and I'd be like, well, no, So yeah, technically ability, such as IT, so there's such a growing market actually for autism and, people within IT, because I don't know what it is, and I don't want to stereotype either, because there's people that are good at it, and there's going to be people that are bad. Same as maths, unfortunately I'm one of the few that are rubbish at maths. But technical ability, I find a lot of people, with autism really like IT or media or anything like that, drama, anything, that gets their minds more thinking rather than something that you manual kind of stuff. But then there are people that are really good at manual stuff. Maybe I'm just jealous. I would say reliable,
Conscientious.
yeah, and persistence. So you'll hopefully see through mine how persistent I've been, or try and be. But I would like to say again, because of the honesty and because they want to work hard, that they're probably the hardest people you want to employ, because they want to prove themselves. They want to, they want to show that they can do it. And accuracy, close attention to detail. Again, they're very quick to pick that little thing that don't work and go, right, how can we fix it? How to support someone with autism in employment. These are things that I've seen that works, that I think are great, that I think any company should have. I'll put them all up actually. I just think they really are key. Relaxing space in the workplace, reduction of sensory direction overload, things like headphones can really help with that, with noise, letting them look away from their desk, anything that will just make them feel a bit easier. Training for managers and others about autism. There's so many places I've worked and it's like, have you ever had an autism employee? No. I went to a job because I was in another employment and I said how headphones really work for me, because it blocks out noise. She was like, oh, you can't do that here. And I was like, right, okay, but so-and-so does that and he listens to music and he's got nothing. It's like, oh yeah, but he's been here 6 years and you're in probation. It's like, right, okay, well I'm telling you it would work for me. And she goes, you need to understand it from a business point of view. And I turned around to her and I said, I speak to many businesses and a part of employing someone with autism is you adapt and support them in the way that they need supporting. That's how a business operates. You can't just go, oh, I can't do it. It's not good enough. That was the training for her that I felt, you really need, otherwise people aren't going to enjoy your company. All instructions, policies, I think to be written, communicate really clearly. Sometimes someone will say 5 instructions at me and I'm like, what? And I can't fathom it. I'm just like, can I have that again? Step by step. It got to the point where my mum used to write down my train, so my train journey was wrote down so I knew what stop to get off, where to get on, and things like that can just really help. Sending images as well to, like the building before an interview can really help because it allows the person with autism to visualise it before they get there, before they just step into this unknown territory where it's like, oh, where am I, Extra breaks to enable relaxation, providing a mentor, individual support where schedules are unavoidably disrupted when changes are introduced, so just keeping that kind of informative to them, not just letting them, for instance, when I was at my last post, I walked in, they changed my desk, small thing to them, but big thing for me, they could change the company name, I wouldn't care, but if it impacts me, such as a desk move, I think, and they spoke about it before, like the manager said, do you think that should be alright with it? And someone went, no, I'd be a bit, and then someone else went, yeah, it'd be alright. So it's like, sometimes managers will ask someone if it, it's a fallback, isn't it? Well, I did ask them, and they said, last one as well, understanding them. I think you can understand the condition as much as you can, but if you don't understand them and how they work and how they operate and what, is going to affect them, what's going to make them go, oh, what's going to make them panic, what's going to make them calm, then, it's just about understanding the individual and knowing how it affects them. So, my story of employment. I'll start with school quite quick. So I went to a normal primary school. That was okay. Educationally, it wasn't great. It was probably 3 teachers in that school really understood autism. The others, not so much. One teacher turned around to my mum when she was trying to get a diagnosis and she went, no, he's not autistic, he's just naughty. So that was the kind of feedback. I went to a secondary school that had an ASD unit. However, there was a really bad lacking of communication between the main school and the ASD unit. Most of the teachers didn't know I had autism, but rest assured all the students did because they'd make a TA sit next to me, which I felt kind of really worried about because as soon as you have that TA next to you in a secondary school, they know you've got something. So it's all like, oh, he's autistic, and they're like, well, what is it? I don't know, but it's funny. And that's their kind of attitude towards it, kind of getting back to, what we were saying earlier about, it's like, it's hidden, but they know you've got it, but it's never explained. And that was what was a big bugbear for me. They then kicked me out, surprisingly. And it's sad actually, it's an ASD unit, which is there to support people with ASD, but they kicked me out because I wasn't going to lessons because I was getting bullied. And it's like, well, you could have swapped lessons, you could have swapped my timetable, it was a big enough school, but yeah, you went straight from kicking me out. So it was just, again, it's shocking that there's an ASD unit that has done that. I then went to another school and the support at that school was really good. It was a school in Oxford. And they were brilliant. They were best school I've ever been to. Support-wise, I don't think you'd get support like it. It was a very, sometimes it was like, and sometimes it felt like I was in prison, but I was innocent, because not only it was an autistic school, but it wasn't. It was more, it had autism, it had people with severe anger issues, you know, loads of different aspects going on. So yeah, I mean, there'd be fights every day, teachers would get punched, kicked, spat at, and sometimes I thought, how these teachers keep coming in, and you know, they did, and they, you know, support-wise, the school was brilliant. Educationally, it left me bad because the school didn't offer GCSEs. So then I was in a situation, like, well, what am I going to do with my life? You know, best case scenario, KFC if I'm lucky. So I thought, what am I going to do? So started to worry, started to think, okay, what can I do to kind of secure my future? The school set me up a work experience at a cafe. I hated it. I learned at that cafe I never want to work in a cafe. So that's when I started trying to organise my own work experience, and that's where I organised a company. It was an IT company. So I was there 8 weeks. I thought I knew everything about IT. The first day I walked in, and I walked out that day, got in the car with my mum. My mum went, "How was it?" And I went, "I know nothing about IT." And that was the learning, you know, curve for me. You never know everything. And yeah, 8 weeks I learned a lot, but still not everything. Still till now I don't know everything. They were going to take me on for an internship, but unfortunately they moved down to London. So I then went to college, hated it, didn't like it. Sudden independence, so much lack of support, if not worse, there in you know, than in school. Yeah, I persevered, I completed my course, but I mean, I did not like it. It was.
Did you have any HCP at that time? Did you have a statement at that time?
Yeah, so sorry, I was statemented when I was about, I think about 4 or 5.
So it didn't go through to college?
That's a good question. I don't think it did. I think it stops. I think it stopped at a certain age for me. I might be wrong, but I know if there was one, it didn't come in handy.
Okay.
That's for sure. I mean, the secondary school it did, you know, because with the statement I was able to go to that really good school. But I think as soon as I turned 16 or whatever, that was it. It was kind of left, you know, get on with it. Because I remember when CAMS stopped. CAMS just stopped at 16. We used to go probably, if not every year near the end, but at 16 that was it. Cut.
It's still the same. Even though, but once they turn 16, we still have problems even with the EHCP.
Yeah. I think as soon as I turned 16, I didn't really get any support, to the point where I was at college and I had a fit as well. And then I started to have epilepsy at that age as well. Yeah. So, you know, I think it might have been stress or anything, but I started then having fits, and then I was diagnosed with epilepsy. But even support for my mum, I think the disability stopped at that age. I was well dressed. You know, it's like, well, you know, I've got a lifelong condition, and actually it probably really would have helped that money coming in, even though I'm working. But I went through a stage of unemployment this year, and that money would really have helped. They don't, you're well dressed, so you can look after yourself. Mm-hmm. You know, it's terrible. But I persevered through college. That's when I started loving acting, so I started doing some plays. And I'd done one in Newbury, done 2 in Newbury, sorry, and then I got an extra gig on E4 Glue. And there was this rope separating the actors, and me being me, I just went over the rope and I pretended to be a main actor. So I just asked who their agents were. There was a big naked guy off set somewhere else as well. Yeah, they went all out on this one. So yeah, it was probably the worst day of my life, because they brought an extra in. I'll explain the naked man, but there was a naked bloke, and basically I was talking to him all day, but I didn't ever pay attention to what he was wearing, because at this time he was wearing a dressing gown. So I was speaking to him all day. I was getting on like a house on fire, and then the director went, "Right, bring on the naked-year-old guy, you know, the naked guy," and then the guy undone his dressing gown, and he was naked. And that was the worst day of my life. So yeah, but I got the information that I needed, and from that, then I started emailing casting directors, because I've never gone to drama school or anything. That time there was a job going out of 300 people. I originally applied for a job at condescending, they were rude at the interview. I asked the woman what the people like here, are they nice? She went, well, they wouldn't be here if I didn't like them. So I thought, oh, lovely. Asked for feedback for the interview, because she emailed me basically saying didn't get the job, asked for feedback, never heard anything. And then I went for the job. They said come dressed smart, so I thought, well, my smart is, chinos and checkered shirt. Everyone else was in a suit, so I thought I definitely ain't got this, because it went from 300 people, narrowed it down to 50, and then I turned up in a checkered shirt and chinos. So not only I look dressed like an idiot, I've not got qualifications like these other guys have, because I've got GCSEs and just come out of school. I think I'm never getting this job. I took the book that I'd done. I filled in loads of notes while I was there, and I took the book and I handed them the book, and they were really impressed with how I came across and really impressed with the work. They were only meant to take one on that year. They took 2 apprentices on, so then I joined there and done my apprenticeship there. And yeah, they kind of really got my foot in the door, really. If it wasn't for them, I don't think I could be as successful as probably what I am. But again, they took the chance, well, not even a chance. They didn't see it as an issue, they didn't see it as a problem. They just went, it's autistic, so what? We're sorted, we're supporting. And they did, and off the back of that, I had to take maths 7 times, because every time I took it, I kept failing. But my persistence, my drive, didn't give up. I ended up winning Apprentice of the Year for 2016 out of West Berkshire, because eventually I did pass my maths, which made me pass my course. Again, I just never gave up and just wouldn't let it beat me. Then the acting took off, so I came home one day, had an email from casting director from Holby City, and she said, we'd like you to come down for an audition. And obviously I couldn't drive because I was epileptic, so there was arguments all in the house that week. Mum can say, no, I'm working, Dad can, no, I'm working, Nan can, no, I'm working. And there was just so many arguments, even the line of, if you love me, you take me. And I think my mum didn't take me purely because out of fear, because she didn't know how I would cope if I didn't get it, to come so close, so not. But my thought process was, I don't want to be saying what they thought my life. I'd rather go and fail or try and fail. And to me, I don't fail, because as long as I try my hardest, I think you never fail. It's when you stop trying, you fail. Went there, got the part. It was a main part. I was on 13 scenes, like the main role. Off the back of that, I got an agent. Then I went on Doctors twice, and I've done the National Autism advert, which you saw. And that was really nice, because an old teacher got in touch. He saw that I was doing television work, and he was like, oh my God, Max, well done. And then he sent me the link to this role and said, I think you should go for it. So I went for it. So I then ended up getting it because my teacher got back in touch, fate, I suppose. Done the campaign ever since I've been speaking about autism publicly. So I've been on BBC Breakfast, The Right Stuff. I've done an advert for Ford to raise awareness for autism as well. So when people come in, like customers, how to support autistic customers. I then moved on from. In hindsight, it was a kind of. It was money-wise, it was good, but progression for me, it really wasn't. It went to a night shift job, which I just did not enjoy. I wasn't learning, I wasn't blossoming, and I lost a lot of knowledge, IT knowledge, by going there. I then done an advert for Santander, that was to raise awareness for autism as well. And I've put that photo there because I actually then experienced everything that my campaign did. I feel it's weird how it went full circle. So what is my message? I think there is lack of support, especially in budget and funding from government. Employers also sometimes not willing to take a risk. I do that in open brackets because I don't really think it is one. They just automatically think that you're not capable, and it's not true. You are capable, and I think at the same time, sometimes I ask myself, what 22-year-old has got Apprentice of the Year, got a job without any GCSEs, been on Holby City, done skydives, you know. Huh?
Maybe cripple karma as a neurotypical actor.
Cripple karma, yeah. can't put the code in the parking here though. But yeah, and I just think, well, look, I think as well it makes you more motivated. For me it did, knowing I was stacked against it and knowing that there's a lot of people that thought, you ain't gonna go anywhere. That fueled me. I had a teacher, he asked me when I was at school, he said, what do you want to do when you're older? At the time I didn't know, I said I want to be a lawyer. And he went, oh, you have to have good qualifications to do that. And I said, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. And he turned around to me and went, people that say that are liars. And he did. It was because he wanted to be a pilot. And he had really bad eyesight, so he couldn't. So I said to him, I said, I'm not being funny, I said, but there's loads of laws and things that have got in people's ways before, and they've fought it. And sometimes it's gone their way, sometimes it hasn't, but if you don't fight or try, then no, it's not going to happen for you. And I basically turned around to him and I said, and just because you failed in life, I said, shouldn't mean that you should pass your past failures upon other people. And I walked off and he didn't really know what to say. So my message is everyone's employable, everybody deserves a chance, an opportunity, and everybody's, you know, everybody deserves support. And when I say everybody's employable, you know, someone said to me, I think at one of ours, yeah, but not everyone is there? And I said, well, put it this way, I know someone who's got someone's got locked-in syndrome, which is basically just in a wheelchair. You know, you can't really talk. All you've got is your head, really, your brain. And you'd think, okay, what can I employ him for? He's a successful author. He writes with his eyes, with his eyesight. And he's made a book, I think it's sold massive amounts. So it's like, when I say everybody's employable, they are, you just got to find what they can do and what their niche is. And it could be something small, something that you think that's never going to take off. Heck, 40 years ago, would we say there's going to be people who make videos on the internet playing games, and they're going to have full-time jobs? Yeah, 2019, YouTubers playing a video game, and people tune in. Why? Because they're interested, and that's that. So that's my message. Anyway, everyone's employable, and no one should ever feel like they're not, to be honest.
Can I ask you about your teen years?
Yeah.
Because we've got young teenagers. So how were you? What kind of teenager were you at 13, 14? Were you?
You've got so much drive and determination.
I don't imagine you being like this at that age. So were you? Because you say you have ADHD.
Yeah.
So were you just like a naughty kid that couldn't concentrate, or were you anxious? How did you portray yourself at school? And if you could just let us know about that. Yeah.
I was always bullied. I used to wear not the same clothes, but it'd always be black. I used to be called homeless, tramp. I was spat at by people when I used to go down my park because people didn't understand it. I felt I was always probably older than what I actually was. You know, people were going out and doing stuff and getting, you know, especially when I was like 19 and stuff, it was like, do you want to go down the pub, do you want to go on a night out? I was quite happy sat indoors watching EastEnders. I never had a group of friends. I mean, at primary it took me years to make friends at primary, years. And I made them all, and then I was sent to this other secondary school. So all my mates went to the school up the road, and then I went to a completely different one. So it was like chapter 1 all over again. And unfortunately, I made friends, but they didn't like me. They were liking who I pretended to be, and that was this mischievous, bad boy, you know, who wouldn't go to lessons and things, and that's because I wanted to fit in, and I felt that I had to change myself to fit in. And it came to the realisation in the end, they don't like me, they're just like this facade that I'm giving them, they like this character, but it's not really me. And that was tremendous pressure, because people would want to start fights, and then it's like, well, I can't back down, and I really didn't want to be in it. And every time I swindled my way out of it. just about. I don't know how. I remember someone being this close to me, and I was like, I'm thinking, we cool? Yeah, we cool. And he's like, yeah, all right. And then that was that. But literally, it came to that point where it's like, this act has gone this far, and that was just to get people to like me. And then outside school, I would go down the park where I felt I had a lot of friends, but in reality, they'd pick on me. I'd come home crying most days. And they used to say to me, why do you keep coming down there? No one likes you, blah, blah, blah. And I literally said to them, because I don't want to give you the satisfaction. I'm coming down because I want to come down. Because anyone wants me here. I'll come down and play football if I want. I'll play basketball if I want. It's not your park, you don't own it. I'm coming down because I want to come down. They're like, well, don't talk to me. All right, I'll talk to him. He doesn't want to talk, well, I'll let him say that. And I just used to have an answer for it. And I think near the end, they probably respected me keep coming down. They got used to me coming down. And was I the butt of most jokes? Yeah, but before long, and again, I really had to adapt to myself, to go, I'm not going to let that bug me, I don't mean it, blah, blah, and it was tough, It was like being thrown into a pack of lions and trying to adapt and pretend that you are one, and that can be tricky. Teenager, I think I was frustrated, probably angry with the world, always wanted to try and always went into something giving my all. And my mum as well brought me up to, it's never an excuse. It might be a reason, but it's never an excuse. If I ever done something wrong, it wouldn't be, but he's got autism. It would be, look, you've done wrong, I'm going to tell you why you've done wrong, I'm going to put it in the way that you understand why you've done wrong. For instance, I nicked someone's bike once. So my mum said, how do you think he felt? I don't care how he felt, right? So my mum would go, all right, let's think about it this way. How would you feel? If that was your bike and someone grabbed it, how would you feel? And I'm like, well, I don't. No, come on, how would you feel? Someone's took your bike that you love, how would you feel? I wouldn't like it. Well, what are you going to do then? I'm not doing, no. What would you want that person to do? You want them to apologise, wouldn't you? Yeah, but I'm like, no, yes you are, because if it was your bike, that's what you'd want. And that's kind of how she taught it, never an excuse. And she often turned things that I loved into a reason for doing something. So when I got my full-time job, I couldn't drive, so I said, Mum, you'll go to take me. My mum was like, I'm driving an Uber every day and going back, supportive, but she's like, you are grown up now, you need to do it. You need to get on the bus, I'm not getting on the bus, but then you don't have a job. So when the gig came up for Glue, as an extra, my mum said, I said, Mum, can you take me? I said, I'm man boy. She went, no. Well, what do you mean, no? I'm taking you. Let's get the bus. What? Yeah. If you want to do it that bad, we'll get the bus. So the day came, and I'm like, go now, Mum. First time on the bus, and Mum went, I'll take you if you want. And I went, no, Mum. I said, you're right. I have to do it. And I got on the bus. And again, from that point, I've done it. So I think being a parent is hard because, it's always like, have I done that right? Have I gone too far? Have I done this? But I think the best thing about it is, as long as you can, there's no one that's going to know what they want best for your child. It's going to be teachers that are going to think that they know best. And I'm not saying never listen to them because they might be able to add value. But you've always got your sole interest in your child. Teachers have got sole interest in 20. So sometimes it can be clouded. So I always say trust your gut. Never let it be an excuse of behaviour. Always allow it to be a reason, an explanation, but never go, I'm going to let them get away with that because. And sometimes a bit of tough love, it's better than, letting them do whatever, because if my mum and dad wasn't tough with me, again, I'd probably think a lot of things were all right and they're not.
Do you suffer from any meltdowns when you were younger, and do you still have them now?
Younger I had loads, especially going into shops and things. It was terrible, absolutely terrible. Going out to eat, terrible. mum and dad couldn't even go out for family meal, no go. Going around Nan's, no go. My mum and dad used to have to tell me 2 weeks in advance if they were going out because it would be chaos. Homework was chaos. It was like World War III. Couldn't sit down and do homework with me. And it's just as bad as parents, you know, now. Because you bring maths homework home, and it's like, right, do it like that. The teacher don't show me to do it like that. Have you heard of big maths, mum? What's big maths? No, you just do that and that. No, you don't do it like that, mum. Imagine that environment, not only with someone that's not got a condition, but then someone that's autistic. It's like, no, the teacher showed me this way, no, I'm showing you this way. Yeah, but that way's wrong, mum. No, it's not, this way's right. Chaos. And that was what was good about that school, they didn't do homework. Because they knew it was too stressful.
So that was a specialist school?
Yeah.
We don't really have those. You think it's worth going to those instead of...
I think because of the lack of education that secondary schools still have, main secondary schools, I would say probably, because I think that secondary schools are not only too big for the people without conditions, but the people with conditions just get lost in the system. You know, the exclusion rates alone show you how bad they are. There's so many exclusions every year are just going up and up and up. And legally, they're not allowed to kick out people with conditions, but they do.
Yeah.
And it's terrible. And I think I can honestly say there was teachers that probably almost got killed, you know, to the extent of faults. And I remember one day a teacher was getting punched and punched and punched, and it took a good 2 minutes, you know, for a teacher to run in and get the kid off it because they were dealing with another thing as well. Still, we didn't get kicked out. Not one kid got kicked out since I was there, not one. Compared to me being in that special, you know, unit in that school, he got kicked out. What for? Didn't go to lessons. What did you do to help him? Not a lot. Hang on, this kid's still here and he's beat the teacher nearly to death. Why is he still here? Because that's our job, to support him, you know, even though we don't agree with the behaviour, where else is he going to go? So that was what was good about that. Really good school, really good.